Hey folks, hope everybody's having a wonderful day. Welcome to another episode of Andrew's Life. On this on this video, I will be driving through the city of Carrollton, Kentucky, which is located in northern Kentucky. It's located in Carrollton County. This small city is between Cincinnati, Ohio and Louisville, Kentucky. It is about 50 minutes from Cincinnati or 50 minutes away from Louisville. So it is relatively conveniently located between two major cities. Now the population here is going to be 3,806 people. And this city has been losing population at a rate of 1.6%, excuse me, as of the 2020 census. And the median home price here is $132,000. The median rent price here is $446 to $969 a month. And when it comes to the crime data, the numbers are quite impressive. I mean, the violent crime is over 50% below the national average. It is over 30%. I mean, the property crime is over 30% below the national average. The racial makeup of the city is 83.9% white, 3.4% black, and 11.3% Hispanic. And this city is located by the Ohio River. I mean, the Ohio River basically runs in the back of the city, which you guys will see shortly on this video. And the two major roads that run through the city the major road that runs through the city is US Route 42 that passes through the center of the city, which if you stay on that road and you go north, you'll eventually end up in Cincinnati. Or on the south end of the city, you can catch Interstate 71, which runs parallel to Route 42. And as far as a little bit of history about the city, I mean, this city had a bad flood from the Ohio River back in 1937. And this city also has the largest tobacco markets in the state of Kentucky. And there was a major tragedy that happened in this city back in the late 1980s. The worst bus crash of the United States happened here in Carrollton. It happened in see if I got the exact date written on here. Let's see if I wrote down no, I did not write down the exact date, but there is a bad bus crash here that happened in 1988. And it's called the Carrollton bus disaster. You can look it up. There's information about it. I'm just going to give you a little bit of information. But in the Carrollton bus disaster, it was basically a head-on collision. Oh yeah, it happened on the 14th of May of 1988, and it happened on Interstate 71. And the crash involved a church youth group bus, and the individual who caused the crash was a driver of a Toyota pickup truck. His name was Larry Rain. He was 34 years old at the time, who was a factory worker. And when he was questioned about the accident, allegedly, he did admit at a later time that he did have a few drinks before getting behind the wheel. And in this accident, there's a total of 67 people in the bus, to include the bus driver, and 27 people, out of which died in the accident. I mean, because as a result of this head-on collision, the bus caught on fire. And the way I read the article, it appears that the 27 people that died were trapped in the bus. They were unable to get out to escape the fire. And I think there were some pieces of, anyways, 27 people died. They were unable to get out of the bus. They were trapped in the bus. The bus caught on fire, and that's how they died. And this individual, Larry Rain, who drove the Toyota pickup truck, he was traveling the wrong way on 71, which is what caused the accident. And after this accident, there were a few changes in concerns to some of the motor vehicle regulations when it came to large diesel vehicles. Apparently, they changed some of the ingredients that was used to produce diesel fuel, to where if there was an accident like that again, the vehicle, I guess, wouldn't be as likely to burst into flames like what happened to this bus in 1988. Now, as far as my 2 cents about this city, I mean, really, it's a beautiful city. You know, I think it's a beautiful city anyways. It's got, the Ohio River is right in the back of the city, as you guys are going to be able to see throughout this video. Now, as far as the population growth of this city, I mean, for the most part, the last time this city had a substantial population growth was back in the 1960 census. Ever since the 1960 census, the population of this city hasn't really done much of anything. I mean, yeah, it's shrinking, but it's only shrinking by 1.6%, less than 2%. So for the most part, the population in this city has remained relatively untouched since the 1970s, which, it is what it is. I mean, it's not growing, but others are shrinking. So that, I guess as many people that are leaving this city, you got as many people moving in, or maybe people just move here and for the most part they like it here and don't really leave. I mean, it is a nice little quiet town, city, whatever it is you want to call it. It is a nice quiet place. And although some people may not necessarily consider Kentucky as being part of the South, I mean, I guess if you want to get technical, anywhere below the Mason-Dixon is considered the South. So depending on how you look at Kentucky, whether you look at Kentucky being the South or you look at Kentucky being in its own class, whatever the case, however it is you look at Kentucky, I will say compared to many other southern cities I've traveled through recently, I will say Carrollton is definitely one of the cleaner, neater cities with extremely low crime. And I would say this is another one of those cities that if you're wanting to live within an hour of the greater Cincinnati area, or within an hour of the greater Louisville area, but at the same time you prefer to live somewhere to where you're a little out of the way, you're not like right up in the mix, I would say this would definitely be a good alternative of a place to move to. Now, housing prices here are not going to be the cheapest. In fact, the housing prices here are a little more expensive than what I would anticipate, taking into consideration that this city is almost an hour away from Louisville or Cincinnati. But then again, given the current housing market, And given the fact that many people prefer to live within an hour of a larger city, most people are not trying to have to drive over an hour from a larger city. So when it comes to amenities, when it comes to your basic amenities, this city does have most of your basic amenities. It's got a Walmart, it's got restaurants, it's got places to take your automobile for repairs, it's got all that good stuff. And for those of you that like to sit around and look at the water, there's a lot of people that looking at the water could be therapeutic. I know for me, it's therapeutic. Now, me personally, I'd rather be in Florida or I'd rather be in Southwest Alabama looking at the ocean as opposed to looking at the Ohio River, which right now the water is brown, as you guys can see. But for those of you that are unable to get to the deep south, or you don't want to be in the deep south, you rather be up here for whatever reason, here's the Ohio River. So I think the fact that this city is right by the Ohio River and it's smack dab in the middle of two major cities, I think. And at the same time, this city is also a bit out of the way. And there's a lot of people out here today that combination is perfect when looking for a place to reside. So I think due to all that, this city has attracted a lot of people in recent years to live here. And maybe there's people here that at some point they may have thought about selling their house and leaving. And then maybe they had a change of heart. I mean, who really knows? I'm just gonna assume that due to the location of the city and just due to the general setup of this city, a lot of people that move here like it here and therefore don't leave. Hence the reason for the population not really moving. The population is basically staying stagnant for the most part. So although there's not really a whole lot of excitement in this city, not enough to where you're going to have people from wherever wanting to move here to Carrollton. Carrollton does have the classic small town, close-knit community characteristics that a lot of people today are looking for when residing somewhere. Now, I'm going to be honest with you people. I don't know exactly how Carrollton is today, but for now, I'm going to give this town the benefit of the doubt. I remember back when I first moved to Kentucky. This was back in the early 2000s. At that time, I was driving a Mercury Sable, which at that time the car was 10 years old. And at the time, I didn't know exactly what was going on, but I was driving this car and the engine was overheating. Antifreeze was leaking all over the place. So during this time, I was driving a car with a blown head gasket, but at the time, I was dumb as hell. I didn't know. I was in my early 20s at this point, and I never experienced a vehicle that had a head gasket go out. So at the time, I was driving this car around, and every time it started leaking antifreeze, I just fill it up and keep it going. So making a long story short, I got stranded on the side of the road, and this was before I had a cell phone. This is in the early 2000s, so this was before it was almost like secondhand. This was back in a day when many people didn't carry cell phones. Only a few people did. I was one of the many people back in the day that did not have a cell phone. So, I parked the car on the side of the road, I was on Interstate 71, and my plan was to hitchhike into town here and go to the closest gas station and get a tow truck. Now, fortunately, there is a very nice person that pulled off on the side of the road, and clearly they, well, anyhow, they pulled off on the side of the road and they asked if I needed something, and I told them yes, I need to get to the closest gas station so I can call AAA, because I did have a AAA membership. I always keep a membership because of how I travel. Even back then, I kept a AAA membership. So this guy who picked me up, he drove me to the gas station. I called AAA, and he stuck around to make sure that the tow truck came. And, he just stuck around and made sure everything was okay with me. That way I wasn't just sitting there stranded. And then funny enough, well, it's not funny, but it's funny now, but it wasn't so funny at the time. So, making a long story short, I got the tow truck driver came, and I got my car towed to a mechanic in Louisville, because that was where I was going to be living. I was just getting everything set up, getting my apartment in Louisville situated. So, making a long story short, I take the car to the mechanic in Louisville, and they tell me all I need is a new radiator. Okay, I pay the money, I get the new radiator, I get my car back, and I would say for maybe a couple of hours, I'm driving, everything's good, nothing going wrong, nothing funky. Now, I remind you, I still had to get back up to Cleveland, because at the time I was living in Cleveland, and I was in the process of getting moved into Louisville. So, okay, everything's going good with my car for those couple of hours. So I'm thinking, okay. So I decided to head back to Cleveland because I needed to take care of some last minute business up in Cleveland. So right around the time I get to this area, Carrollton, Kentucky, my car starts to overheat. I start seeing smoke come off the hood of my car. So this time I go ahead, I get off at the Carrollton exit, and I go to the same gas station as I was at the other time when I needed a tow truck. So this time I decide to look for a mechanic in Carrollton. I find one. They take my car in, and the guy tells me on the spot, you know what, you got bad head gaskets. You're gonna need a new head gasket. So I'm thinking, okay, well, I asked him how much it would be for him to repair the head gasket. He gave me a price. So I went on ahead and I paid that price, and I had the head gasket job done. And sure enough, it was the head gasket, because ever since he replaced those heads, I haven't had any issues out of that particular car for another, I want to say, 4 years. Until finally the car got old and it got tons of miles, and the transmission finally went out. So anyhow, he took my car in. And at this point, I did not have any means of transportation to get to Cleveland. So I didn't even have adequate transportation to get to the closest car rental agency or an airport to where I can get a rental car. So, I'm looking dumb as hell, because I don't really know people in this area. I'm not from the area. So there was a employee at the gas station, and his girlfriend came in to visit him, and apparently he heard the conversation between, he heard my conversation. He knew what was going on. And he remembered me from the other day when I was there with car issues. So, he turned around and he asked his girlfriend if she would be willing to drive me to Louisville to the airport so I can go and pick up a rental car, because that's the closest location at the time that anyone knew to where I can go and get a rental car, either that or Cincinnati. But I prefer to go to Louisville, so he turned around, he asked his girlfriend, "Man, can you take this gentleman to Louisville?" Because they got rental cars at the airport, and she had no issue doing that. And I offered to pay her some money because, we're talking about a damn near an hour drive each way. So I offered it. So at the time, I believe I offered her like $25. And she told me, "No, keep your money. Don't worry about it, man. We good." I don't mind doing favors like this. It's just if you see me in need, you do me a favor. It's okay, fair enough. Even though I wasn't going to be living in this area, I was going to be living down in Louisville. So I say all this just to illustrate that my initial experience in this city, which was back in 2003, was positive. People here were real nice. People here were real nice, very helpful, very welcoming. And eventually I will get around to doing a video of Louisville. But I'm going to go ahead on this video, and I'm going to, and honestly, even when I was in Louisville, there were some times that I had to walk to work because I had to go to the auto store and get some parts to work on my car. And I've had people pull over multiple times and ask me, "Do you need a ride to the store? Do you need a ride somewhere?" Sometimes I'll take them up on their offer. Other times I'll be like, "No, I'm good." So I will say my experience living in Kentucky and concerns to the people have been positive. Now, at the time I lived in this area, I lived in Kentucky, I'm going to be honest, I didn't really think much about the people here in Kentucky and how nice they were to me. I guess to a certain extent you can say I kind of took it for granted. But after being in other places like Toledo and here in Alabama, where people in my opinion are not quite as welcoming, I can think back to my experiences here in Kentucky, and I can truly appreciate those times when people were nice and welcoming and helpful and all that good stuff. Now, given how things are today, things here in Carrollton may have changed. I don't know. But the memories I have of this city, which dates back to 2003, are positive. But yeah, this city to me, it appears to be a friendly, welcoming city. So if you're looking to move to a city to where you're not far from greater Cincinnati or greater Louisville, I would say check out this city. Like I said, the housing prices here are not the cheapest. In my humble opinion, I think the housing prices here are a little expensive. At least to me they are. But then again, I'm guessing the housing prices are what they are here because of A, where the city is located, and B, just a general setup of the city, which are two big things that a lot of people in this day and age are attracted to. So I'm guessing those are the two reasons why housing prices here are the way they are. As you guys can see, this is a relatively clean city. It's quiet. You don't got a bunch of madness going on. I mean, yards are well kept, houses are kept up fairly well. I mean, it's just a quiet place. It's a nice little small community to live, in my opinion. Now, would I want to live here? I mean, honestly, it wouldn't be my first choice of a place to live because, like I told you guys before, I'd rather live somewhere where the climate's a little warmer. However, this is one of those type of cities where, like I said, despite the housing prices being a little steep, in my opinion, I guess if I wanted, I mean, I don't know. I mean, this is one of those kind of cities where a part of me can picture myself living here. I mean, honestly, even though the climate's not as warm as I like it here, even though the housing prices, in my opinion, are a bit steep, I will say, can I picture myself in a city like this? Yes, I can. Alright, people, I'm going to quit talking. I'm going to allow you guys to enjoy the rest of the video. And as always, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Andrew's Life. You guys know what to do at this point. If you haven't subscribed yet, consider doing that. And, help with the YouTube algorithm on this video and on my channel. Give me some thumbs up. Leave comments in the comment section. And on that note, everybody have a blessed one, and I'll see you on the next one.